Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Build live from Oak Hill Works. How are we all doing this evening? I hope you are well. We are back here with part 2 of the Christmas special breakdown. And what is tonight's plan? Tonight's plan is to get it finished. We've got some more paint to do, we've got some transfers to get on, we've got some glazing to do. And good evening Paderborn, how are you? I hope you are well. So, yes, paint, transfers, glazing. Can we do it all in one night? Who knows? Hello, James. How are you doing? I hope you are well. Oh, that reminds... The chatbot is not running. Open up chatbot and run. Because we want you running. Give it a second, James, and you can test it again. You are well, I am indeed also, James. There we go, you can test the chatbot again, James. Drop another command. Anyone you want, I totally won't judge you for just saying kittens. So, yes, if we are going to get, there we go, the chatbot is running. If we are going to get transfers on, we need to get the second coat of paint on these sides pretty rapidly. So that is where we are going to start. And you can already see there the light shining through the brake van. Can't actually see that in here, so I have to do that off the camera, but you can see down there the line where it is in shadow. Because we are also going to need to apply a coat of paint to the inside. Not too bad now, had a migraine, took a couple of knockout pills and woke up again in time for the stream. Oh, I do not approve of migraines. Migraines are bad. So, we are going back with our super classic Humbrol. We're going to get the paint on first to give it time to dry before we do anything else. I've put it on blue tack, everyone. It won't spill. No, the Linny command is gone. At least temporarily, maybe forever, who knows. And the blue tack command doesn't exist and never has. Waking up in time for the stream is how it is good. Provided it doesn't mean you don't sleep tonight, because not sleeping tonight would be bad. Non-existent commands are among the best type of commands. I'll remember that, James. There's a few that I created just for you. Are you saying you'd rather they didn't exist? Because if so, that can be arranged. Sleeping at night, as do I. No, rather the best commands are often ones that Gary hasn't yet programmed. Ah, okay. Linny has started on the next CAD project already. Excellent. We like Linny CAD projects. And what, pray tell, are you working on now, Linny? They're even better when they are made to exist. Well, what I'm hearing from you is that the best commands are yet to come. And as you know, I have zero ideas for commands, so there won't be any new coming from me unless we get more free gifts sent. Yes, it's only the sides of these that I need to get transfers on. So if we get the two sides with their top coat of paint, hopefully they will be dry in time for us to put some transfers on tonight, which is of course the aim. We will be using a mix of water slide and press fix transfers. LSWR wooden gunpowder van. Oh, very nice. Use the word among and wisely, some of the best commands already exist. Some of them are yet to come. Well, we shall see, James. You obviously have a better perception of the future than I. I approve of wooden gunpowder vans. Yes, interesting things. Fewer things to create sparks to set it all off. True. Lead line to press fix. Interesting. I always find that type harder to use. I've never had any issues with press fix. But I have sat next to me the HMRS Sheet 13, which is Southern goods vehicles, including pre-grouping. And I also have some water slide wooden wagon works transfers from back when Eric Gates was producing transfers. They are carriage transfers, but they include the illiterate mark, which will go up in the top corner of the van, and is in fact still missing from my scratch build. I picked them up second hand on eBay some time ago, but they have proved to be very good condition transfers, despite the fact the sheet has yellowed. The transfers themselves actually haven't. Only 10-foot 2 tools will be bright red. Something a bit different. That will be quite different. I approve of quite different. Let's pop that over there and let those sides dry. Get another coat on the roof. Did the Gary have a good Christmas? The Gary did have a good Christmas. We shall have a look at Christmas once I've got another coat of paint on this roof. Was there pudding? There was indeed pudding. There was a massive Yule log. And I really do mean massive. It was over a foot long, and there's only 3 of us. So it was good. I approve of post paint, Christmas and pudding. Massive Yule logs are the best sort of Yule logs. They are indeed. Your Christmas pudding looked rather nice, James. I assume that blazing Christmas pudding you posted a picture of was this year's one. Flaming one, yes, the flaming one. It did look good. And I do hope everyone else has had a good Christmas whilst we're at it. Those take 7 hours to steam. I think that I steamed it just before a live stream about a month and a half ago. Oh yeah, I do remember you mentioning doing a Christmas pudding, because of course they do need to be done and then left to set, don't they? Curved coaches make my mind hurt cadding. Yes. I tend to find straight coaches work better because there's more straight platforms. Perhaps we went wrong on the design front. We should have curved coaches everywhere. Goodness need maturation time. Indeed. Yes, that's well. Christmas was good. Not as good as it could have been though. It felt like I was missing something, or more specifically, someone. I believe we all were this year. Don't think it was the ideal Christmas for anyone. This coach is 90% curves. That's a lot of curves. What type of carriage are you cadding? I remember when I was a nipper, there was a fun fair in Swansea near where my grandparents lived. That had a little train going around the circular track, and the coaches were actually curved. I mean, they have actually curved coaches on the Polar Express when it's going up that mountain, don't they? But they're straight the rest of the time. Darn magic trains. And there we go, there is a second coat on there. Don't know, I haven't seen the Polar Express. I think you need to correct that, James. I do believe there's laws about watching the Polar Express at this time of year. Look up, be an Nova Scotia coach. I would love to do that, but I will have forgotten by the time the stream ends. Nothing wrong with Magic Train, well, British one at least. Interestingly, they all seem to be gold, either red or purple. Go with James H.O. Hawthorne. Interesting. Thought that was a Christmas film. I mean, it is a children's film, that's not the point. It's definitely not the point. It has a train in it. What more could you want from a film? Don't do it, save yourself. It might have kittens in it. Good film. Quite decent film. Not I mean, those are all good options, but I'm just not sure. Alright. My cousin gave me a calendar with pictures of her kittens on it for Christmas. Oh, very nice. I got a calendar of old railway posters for Christmas. It's not too bad. CGI is dated off, you know, when it comes to the humans. I mean, the CGI is just weird, to be honest, Thomas. You know, altogether, it's a bit creepy. It's a good calendar. It is indeed a good calendar. So, Christmas brought us stuff to improve the live streams in the future. From Poppy's Wood Tech, we have a chassis building jig for the next time we're doing etched chassis. So our chassis goes in the middle. We have 3 overlong axles that pass right through and allow us to make sure we are building the chassis square. And obviously the outer ones are at various wheelbases, which are all measured along the side there. And it has the same on the other side. Definitely looks like a good bit of kit. I've been meaning to get one for ages. It also includes 3 bits of rubber pipe. I have no idea what they're for, but I'm sure they'll come in handy. or something. A jig, indeed. Potentially one of the worst films I've ever misfortune of watching. 20 minutes I saw, when I get back, that haunts me. Ah. Logo still animated brilliantly though, Pete. It's not something like the Flying Scotsman. I mean, there's never been a time where I thought it's a pity that logo isn't the Flying Scotsman. Ever. It's around like bits around, which is just locomotive. It's just the locomotive sequence on the ice. Are the narrow bits for setting up coupling rods? Yes. So on the end, you can put your so when it's in, you can put your coupling rods on the end to make sure you've got the coupling rods spaced correctly as well. That looks like heat shrink. It does. It looks a lot like heat shrink, yes, but it calls it rubber sleeving. That is not soldering iron proof in the instructions. It is not mentioned anywhere else, and it is not big enough to go over these. So I've got no idea what it is. I mean, you can see like the blue one especially, if I can get it out. And oh yes, the bot says to remember to like, subscribe, etc. Has really, really thick walls. And I have no idea what any of it's for. But there we go. I was just thinking of the alternative that was recognisable, not just LMS buffs. I'd much rather it be a Duchess of Sutherland. I mean, Duchess of Sutherland's much better. Random rubber tube, exactly. It's not completely random because it's mentioned in the instructions, but it's kind of random. We also have a straight down the middle. So I should have brought a loco over to demonstrate this on. Hang on. That tubing might be for insulation of axles maybe, but there's no need to be insulating anything at that stage. How is that staying upright? Because I'm really, really good at balancing things. And I would just like to point out there is genuinely nothing holding that up. I have just balanced it on my perfectly flat glass workbench. But we all know there's only one loco that should be at the head of the Polar Express. And it is, of course, a Terrier. Be a slow express, it just needs more Terriers. That's all it is. You can get 60 out of a Terrier. It's fine. So, straight down the middle. When you are building a loco, it sits on top of the boiler. Yeah, I can balance it on round things as well. And as you're looking down the boiler, you can line these up with your cab roof to make sure it is straight. And so as you're working down, it gives you a straight line to get your boilers and your chimneys on centrally. And I thought your domes, your chimneys, your safety valves, all your boiler fittings. That's what I was trying to say. Yes, show that comment, YouTube. I approve straight boilers and chimneys. Exactly. So that means everything will go on there straight as it should be, with no issues in theory, because of having a nice G. That's how you just, let's see if I can line it up. So you look down and you can line up the lines across here with the cab roof. to make sure that it's straight. I just want to stand it up in the back now for the rest of the stream, just to, because James found it so weird. Incidentally, what is that locomotive? It's a C2X. It's currently in Southern Wartime Black and is missing a buffer. It shall be Seth, no, it is DJH. So it's got a nice X chassis as well, so the chassis jig would have been good, and it's all rather heavy white metal. I bought it reasonably cheap. It was EM gauge. It had the twin dome, as you can probably tell from that. That's not an XO4. And it was already motored when I got it. So I have made it 00. The tender had a sub tender in it, like a sub chassis in it, holding the wheels in, and I spent ages building a new one to 00 and getting the wheels right in it, and they would never run properly. It took me over a year of owning it before I realised that it's an outside frame tender. I could just stick some bearings in and put the wheels straight into those bearings as it would have been on the original one. The chassis was actually built to 00 gauge, but with washers on the outsides to extend it out. So I just took the washers off, pushed the wheels a bit closer together. 1101, it could be, I'm not 100% sure. I say it came with it. And so you can see on here we've got the black wheel centres on this side and silver ones on this side, because I did just take the wheels off so that I could take the washers out, put the wheels back together with the back-to-back gauge between them, and I just sawed off the ends of the axles. It took no more than that, and then it went back together, and now it's 00 gauge. So it is currently, I say, Southern Wartime Black 2448, which, as a loco, remember my Hailsham layout, which I got it for, is set in 1912. So in 1912, the Brightons 448, it got converted to a C2X in the January of that year. Single dome, because the second dome, which was a top feed, didn't get added till after World War One. So, and it was based in, it was shedded out of Eastbourne in 1912. Which means if a C2X ran down through Hailsham, it would have been number 448. So it is keeping its identity, but being backdated into marsh black, lined black, because it is Westinghouse fitted, so it'll be red, black, red lining. Because they had different lining depending on whether they were Westinghouse fitted or not. And then we'll run on my layout with no additional work needed. Keeps its identity. All it had to do was lose a dome and be converted to 00. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it wasn't much. So yes, anyway, there was my tools that I got for Christmas, which I definitely didn't order myself a couple of weeks before Christmas, and then say to the kids, here, you can wrap these up for me. How efficient indeed, James. I was very happy with that purchase. That white which is still showing a lot of green through. Don't know how well that's showing up. Is dry enough I could get another coat on. That is almost dry enough I could happily apply transfers to it. So what I'm going to do is put the vermilion on the ends. We do of course still need to paint the insides of this. Was the brake van primed? It was not. Because I wanted to do everything on stream, including removing it from the supports and showing how it arrived. Normally I would have removed it from the supports, then spray primed it. Priming is for squares. Well, I'm hoping the brake van's square, to be fair, Alex. Hoping. It seems it. But you never know with 3D printing, do you? So yes, this hopefully being the top coat, we actually want to be a little more careful down the edges than we were with the previous coats. Because we don't really want to be having to go over and touching it up and touching it up and touching it up and touching it up to get it done. That would be bad. Square is better than triangular, more corners. But who says we want more corners? What if we want less corners? And obviously we want less corners if we go circle. Go circular, no corners. Well, yeah, exactly. But yes, it would have got primed if it wasn't for me wanting to show off how it arrived on camera. Not quite true, plenty of corners on the circle line, well, tight curves anyway. Very good, Alex. The choice of the inner circle. The inner circle, that's what I call my Discord members. Exclamation mark Discord in the chat if you want to join the inner circle. Indeed, and there it is from Thomas. Any sign of local kittens this week? No. I'm hoping they have been well hidden with the storms hitting last night. We had 70-mile-an-hour winds and a good section of the town is now flooded. Little fluff's probably keeping the furry cells warm indoors. I hope so. Gosh, gusty. It was indeed quite gusty. And yet next door still didn't bring their washing in from the line. Oh yes, wasn't that storm fun? Lovely. Yeah, I can imagine you did love it, Alex. It must have been great in your house. Flooding is not ideal. I hope that you are high and dry. I am indeed high and dry. I live on a hill. It is absolutely fine here. Winter weather is horrid, and yet we get it every year. Good time of the year for being indoors. Indeed, I should have read that. Gosh, did you know I have a Twitter account? There is a link to my Twitter account. Does the hill have an oak on it? It does indeed. It's 20, maybe 30 foot in front of us right now. The oak tree on the hill on which I live. There's more of an oak sapling at the minute, really. The tree that was there when I first moved in got cut down. But there is a new one there. I see where you get your name from now. Haha, yes, that's what everyone says when I mention that I live on a hill with an oak on it. It's a good generic name. When I first got the layout, I didn't know where it was going to be set, so it needed a name. There we go, we got that little spillage off. Excellent. Do you like a good tree? I'm not entirely surprised that people say that. Well, no, neither am I. Really. I think that one can probably narrow that called Oak Hill down to somewhere in England. Yes. What happens if oak is taken? What happens if the oak is taken out of the hill? Well, I say they did that before and they planted a new one, so it's fine. Good evening, Richard. How are you? I hope you are well. No lovely Welsh narrow gauge layouts. No, we've got a nice Sussex narrow gauge layout. Which, coincidentally, almost joins on to what became the Oak Hill branch, despite that not being planned in the slightest. Will you be adding the guard in the brake van? Not in this one, no. It's too enclosed, I don't see the point. By the time the roof's on there, you've got barely any windows, you can't see anything in there, so this one won't get one. I see that you like local. It wasn't planned, it wasn't entirely planned, but yes, I do. Very well, thank you. How's everyone? I am good, thanks, Richard. Alright, will there be an imaginary stove to keep the imaginary guard nice and warm? No, there's no chimney for a stove, so no there won't. What about a tail lamp? Yes. Probably just a tail lamp stuck on it, not a working one though. But there are some very nice lamp irons there, so it would be a shame not to. What about a face? No. What lamps do you use? I have a selection of LBSC lamps. In fact, no, it won't get a lamp. It'll get a last vehicle board because it'll be running in the day. I have lamps from 5 and 9 models because he does LBSC ones. But no, it won't get a lamp because the Brighton didn't use lamps during the daytime. They only used them at night. You get a little diamond shaped board with LV written on it. That is what it will get. I don't think I've got any pictures of one wearing one. I know I've got pictures of carriages wearing one somewhere, but I don't think I've got any pictures of brake vans actually at the end of a train. I think they're all workshops and stuff that I've got. An interest practice. I didn't know that did the same for passenger trains. It did. And of course it had discs on the engines instead of lamps during the day. But we can see on here I've got some lamps as well. Quite often lamps were stowed up on the top. On most of, in fact probably on all of Stroudley's tank engines, there were lamp irons up on top of the tanks for storing lamps during the day. It's interesting to wonder what would happen to trains running before dusk that were delayed. They carried the lamps on them all the time, so I assume whenever they got into a station they could change. Those discs just hole punches? No, those discs are... My discs are cut with a silhouette cutter out of 10 foul plasticard. That one's lost its handle, but they do normally have handles on them. I'm just looking, I don't think I've got any up on the layout that actually have non-broken discs on them. Just imagining the amount of addresses you'd have to remember if you did DC controlled lamps, especially many programs. No, unavailable addresses. There'd be plenty. Yes, of course, they'd keep the lamp on train. Interesting. Yeah. That would certainly be interesting with DC. I mean, I do have a train for night running, which not only has a working tail lamp on the back of the carriage, or on the back of the brake carriage, it has a removable tail lamp, so when it gets to the end of its run and the train runs round, you can take the tail lamp off and put it on the other end, and it still works. It's not about addresses available, it's trying to remember to say it per brake van as you couple up. You just have it programmed to the number of the brake van. Did Southern get the disc practice from the LBSC? I don't know. I think the other companies use discs as well. Someone else would have to confirm that. But yeah, I do have a brake van set up, a passenger brake set up with removable working tail lamp. Because why not? Yes, LSW certainly use discs and squares and rhombuses. Yeah, so I'm going to say all three of them probably did. Because I'm quite sure the SECR did. How did you manage the lamp thing? It'll be interesting to see in a video. Hang on a second. And I'm back with a carriage. Didn't use lamp irons at first. Did they use sockets at first then, Lenny? Did come up concept realistically and working lamp irons, but it's how would blackened aluminium conduct? How well would blackened aluminium conduct electricity? In theory, if it is chemically blackened, it will conduct electricity just fine. Simply if this happens. It's only blackened on the outside and contact fine on the inside. Don't worry. Which I find is very interesting. My idea relies on getting power through the chemically blackened metal. They did in fact use sockets with pegs on the bottom of the lamps and discs. Excellent. So, pickups on all wheels, kind of standard. Cables have been painted black and run along. In the brake compartment, I've got a bridge. The cables come into a bridge rectifier, which goes into a socket. There's our lamp. 2 prongs off the back. It is a square LED with a red square LED with a bulge out the front. It did have a handle and stuff on it, but I didn't stick it on very well. In fact, all my lamp irons have come off here as well. You can see where the lamp irons were. And on this side, if we can get some focus, you can just about see there are holes there and there that the lamp slots into. Behind that is just a jumper pin off of a computer motherboard acting as the socket. That's got the legs off the bridge rectifier soldered to it and goes through like that. There are, I believe, photos on my RM web thread, which of course is, I think, in the pre-grouping section, the Oak Hill branch. I made a bit of a big deal about the fact I'd managed to make working removable tail lamps in 4 mil, so if you search for removable tail lamp in the thread, you'll probably find it. Suggest replacing the handle with a strip of black plastic card, bigger surface area to glue to and won't scratch off with pliers, like the black. Suggest replacing the handle with a strip of black plastic card, bigger surface area to glue to and won't scratch off with pliers like the black paint. You are right, Lily. Yes, I've got. Yeah, this was essentially first prototype. So the fact that things have broken and fallen off through use is fine. That doesn't bother me. Those wheels took some getting clean. They were actually absolutely caked in rubbish when I got this carriage. So yes, that is how I did it. So it's just 4 pickups into a bridge rectifier, out to a jumper socket off of a computer motherboard that I had lying around. In theory, I have all that around on the workbench somewhere, but I don't know where. To make many, many, many more. Because I got these square LEDs off eBay. I think I got 20 of them or something for a couple of quid. It's rather impressive, thanks for showing. Not a problem, Richard. It takes like 54-foot brake third. Yes. Yes, indeed. It is. And was actually, I actually bought it. It had been converted into one that had been made into a push-pull in Southern days. So I've backdated it, filled in the windows on the side that had been added, done a new end. In fact, no, I think I just had to replace the framing on the end of this. But yes, that is how you do that. And good evening, Javier. How are you? I hope you are well. I approve of having carriages. Having carriages is good. I was showing off my removable working tail lamp, Javier. Because, you know, I feel like I get to show that off and be proud of that in 4 mil. I'm not even aware of it having happened in 7mm yet. So yes, let's get back on with the brake van. I may or may not need to finally invest in a new laptop given just that incident in keyboard. Yeah, new laptops are expensive. That's why I only invest in second-hand laptops. You know what, Bob? That is a good point. Hydration is indeed very important. And I don't believe we had a hydration break at all so far, and we're 3/4 of an hour in. Very naughty of us. I was hoping 2 coats would do it, but I forgot I was using white paint, and white paint hates me. In fact, even the white paint that I did on the workbench hated me, didn't it? Because it took forever to dry. It actually had to have another coat after the first stream it was on with the white paint, because I pulled part of it up with my arms or it hadn't dried. No less of our charge only saw some configuration weights LSWR baby carriage. In fact, I asked a few times, but I'm not sure I have the full range. Hopefully Linny does have that, and you can make your Simutrains carriages even better. It's quite naive looking at gaming laptops earlier in the year, but then it hit me. 2K, no thank you. Oh, see, that's why, Javier, I have a second-hand gaming laptop. 300 quid. Is what? It's roughly the same in dollars these days, isn't it? Yes, I'm in the process of adding classes and re-rendering the graphics of Southern and Constituents. Will be great to see it done. Hello, Hardy Hat. How are you? Desktop's better than laptops. I don't know. Yes, they have their advantages, but it's quite a beast of a laptop I've got. I suggest the weather it's not having them tanned, they're at home. I'm not, but if you tell me what you need, details, I can look at them up early in the new year. That'd be excellent. Good to see people helping people out. Laptops horror. KF console great and everything. Yeah, I meant to ask for your thoughts on that, Alex. Gaming PC called a console has a built-in chicken warmer. Why not? Would love to build my own PC, but haven't given that another thought beyond that. I used to build PCs. That's what I used to do, Javier. It's nice and easy. Just watched British Transport film, fully fitted freight for the millionth time. Very nice. Use fried chicken restaurant as your computer. Seriously, James, KFC have announced their own gaming console, only it's actually a gaming PC. That's not even a lie. Has some scan drawings, but not weights. Drawing messages for that. Must always be away. As if I couldn't love Kane and see enough that to go and do this. Actually, I don't remember you mentioned that. Yeah, so building PCs was my job once upon a time. It's not even April. No, exactly, James. It is proper madness. It's also a chicken warmer. Yeah. Proof phone mate. Model Railways video sets. Our computer parts and food don't go together. That was my thought on it. How long's that going to take for some chicken grease to drip onto something important? This is genius. If you say so. Right, so that's another coat on the roof, and it does look a lot better. It still doesn't look like it's going to be properly covered, and that's 3 coats. I hate my white paints. All of them. This, however, is nice and dry. Go and look at the website, it shows a wireframe model of how it all fits together. Yes, I have looked at the wireframe. I still think it's a bit weird and wouldn't trust its long-term viability. Have you tried Phoenix white paint? I have tried Phoenix white paints. It's all white paints. They all hate me under all circumstances. Only post for Lampire concept and Discord server, but which chat should I put it in? One of them. Modelling, probably. Computer's going to study, food equipment goes in the kitchen. Indeed. So, yes. It's transfer time. And so we have here the Wooden Wagon Works carriage lettering transfers, which for some reason have the illiterate symbols, which were definitely not illiterate symbols, for wagons on them. But people will insist on calling them that. Same modelling show. Yeah, I just looked. The channel didn't see anything like that. Yeah, James doesn't post his videos to YouTube. He posts them to PeerTube. And since YouTube is stupid and won't let people post links, I can't get him to post a link to it. People always scoffed at the people who changed the world. Let's be honest. It's on which some server sometimes. There are lots of people who didn't. Well, yes. It's such a strange concept. What I loved most about the announcement of the KF console, though, was the fact that KFC have set up a KFC gaming Twitter account. Because of course they have. And the replies it was giving people were brilliant when they were asking questions about it. They have got marketing down to a T, but I still don't get why. So there we have 2 illiterate marks. They're logos, really, let's be honest, they are logos. I have never understood why people insist on calling them illiterate marks. You know, they set up that account in 2018, so they've been planning this for a while. Also, the account says it's based in the UK, which is interesting. I did not know either of those facts. That is interesting. Are there any features of real locomotives and wagons coaches that don't translate in small words you think of yourself? Smoke seems always to look off on models. Yeah, smoke is off, but I don't think you could fix it, really. To be honest, it's just smoke doesn't scale well. Right, so we want the centre of this across the second plank down. Humans interacting with them. Indeed, James, very difficult to get animated humans in 176. I should have brought this out sooner just to get some of the excess water off, shouldn't I? So they see, despite the yellowing of the paper around the transfer itself is fine. So moving water doesn't scale well. No, again, that is another thing that will never really be solved. Right, let's get the one on the other side. You know, people often tell me they don't like using enamel paints because they take too long to go off. Clearly, those people have never watched my live streams. So humans have rounds, water always models as static. Indeed, explosions are hard to get right. Fortunately, there's not much call for modelling them. Indeed, it can be solved in 3D rendered virtual environments, of course. It can indeed. Looks good. Thank you, James. Perhaps one day we'll have augmented reality model railways, the sounds and people superimposed with AR glasses. That would be quite cool. And headphones. If they enjoy modelling tiles, I can recall anyone trying it. There's certainly people out there with Tugs models, yes. I'm intrigued at how fast the paint seems to be drying. Also, for tugboats, I'm sure someone must have modelled some of those. Tugs as in the show, James, surely. But yeah, this is standard Humbrol enamel. There's nothing special about it. The show, I've not seen this, but I don't have a television. It was the late 80s, early 90s. Alex, when was Tugs? Do we need to enlighten our brother as the imposter is Tugs? The whole of it's on YouTube, James. He keeps recommending me a video recently of the entirety of Tugs as a single video. It was made by David Mitton of Thomas the Tank Engine fame. It was Dave Mitton, wasn't it, that did it? Can't watch YouTube now, I'm watching live stream. Well, yes, that's true, year of my birth. So yeah, it was late 80s, James. And it was essentially a sister show to Thomas the Tank Engine. And there we have the other one. So that is illiterate marks on both sides. I think perhaps this one needs to move over very slightly. I remember the late 80s. Yeah, they were... no, I don't remember them. It's the child that Thomas made and subsequently smothered out of existence. Tugs is kind of like Thomas, only more gritty and blue collar. Yeah, and it had explosions, so there's that. Rested on tugboats instead of trains. Used to watch Thomas the Tank Engine in the 80s, but not Tugs. Good evening, Heritage Railway Productions. How are you? I hope you are well. A lot of the props from Tugs ended up later featuring in Thomas the Tank Engine after Tugs was cancelled. Brittlecroft bought basically the lot. I believe there's some stuff she didn't get that is still lost, but they've all been well preserved. And they live at Butterley now, I think. Kind of Fun Birds meets Thomas and the Harbour. Yeah. Big Crane at Brendan Docks, not Cranky, was Big Mickey and Tugs. It was indeed, and they had the ocean liner as well, didn't they? Was the one from Tugs. I am well, thank you. Hope you are too. I am indeed. Tugs had characters get killed, so yes, rather more gritty than Thomas. Well, yeah, there we go. That says it all. Only thing I can remember was that big ship. I've only skimmed wiki about Tugs. Well, you'll have to go watch it sometime then, won't you, Javier? Yes, the models are at Butterley. The display is fantastic. There we go. See? I know stuff sometimes. So, on to our second type of transfer for the evening. We will be using Pressfix to get the letters on here. Only my Pressfix sheet is not sticking as well as it should to its backing paper. I think it's getting a bit long in the tooth. Thomas had scrapyard, so depending on the point of view, Thomas could have seen more gritty. Yeah, but it didn't have quite the same as Tugs. Take an evening. What was it again? One YouTube video. Yeah, there is a single video of the entirety of Tugs. Did you hear that someone, Thomas Tank Melch on Twitter, has preserved the original 1983 Edward prop? Lots of original Thomas props are preserved privately. The only main Tug model that isn't in the collection is Top Hat. They don't know where the model is. Really, that's also... Yes, really. Yeah, I knew there was one that was missing. There's also used to be some dispute about whether they were legally acquired by the person that sold them to them. Who knows, maybe Top Hat is in some guy's garage waiting to be found. Well, I say there is... I believe it's been debunked, but there was questions about how the person that sold them got them. Right, so... Here we have some lettering that is very small. It says LB and SCR. That is what we want. So we're going to cut out 2 of those. I believe that's trying to tell me I got it. I don't need to cut round a second time. It would be easier if it wasn't peeling off this backing sheet. Grampus and Sally Seaplane are also missing, but someone made a fantastic replica Sally. They do have Top Hat and Grampus's face masks though. There we go. I'm 25, only discovered Tugs about a year ago. Theodore Tugboat was the tugboat show I watched as a kid. Yeah, I believe that one was more commercially successful. So, for those that haven't seen Press Fix, you will notice they are all on here backwards. So we cut round them, we take them off, we place them down where we want them the right way round. And we press them on. Shocking, I know. I know I always do this mini tutorial thing with press fix transfers, but as there is only one press fix tutorial on the entirety of YouTube and it's mine, I kind of feel it's important to let people know how it's done. There are certainly some of these transfers I need glasses for though to get on, so it's not just you. Thomas Tanker Merch also owns Duke to handle Rusty, Scullowy, James Edward, lots of coaches and rolling stock. And the viaduct from one of the films. Tugs was sadly very expensive to make. Clearwater just couldn't afford it after Series 1. Did they learn nothing from Thunderbirds? They could have filmed the whole thing in a bathtub. So much cheaper. And then we take some water onto our pressed transfer. We spread the water about on the backing paper and let it soak in. Viaduct from Magic Railroad. See, I do know stuff sometimes. You're tweezering the water. I am tweezing the water. That is how little we need. It is literally just a drop caught in the end of the tweezers there that I use. That's how I'd imagine to do it. Yeah, so you don't need a lot. But then once that has soaked in, you lift off your backing paper, dispose of it nicely in the bin you have conveniently placed next to you, dry it off, and you find that your brake van now says LB and SCR, just like that. That really is how easy they are. Was what I was embarrassing the common trope I remember, because changing the scenery was not good. And large scale Trevor. Yeah, see, he's got loads. My proof of brake vans that now say LBSCR. Thank you, James. We are going to now number our brake van. Number goes centrally on the next plank down from that. We are going with number 48, which for those that don't remember last week's stream is the brake van that lasted into the 30s. Like the last one of them still going. I've lost my other one that I cut off. We don't lose things on this live stream, does it not know that? That's what I get for cutting 2 of them off at once. I only really... Oh no, I've not taken it off the sheet yet, that's why. When you look at the size of the models and the behind the scenes photos, you realise just how huge tug sets were. Series 2 was going to have more episodes set upriver as it was cheaper to film. Yeah, I can imagine the sets were quite massive, but I don't think I've ever seen behind the scenes tug stuff. I remember the viaduct always been repaired too, so it's only like 2 or 3 episodes though, I think. So after me thinking I'd lost this other transfer, what we're going to do is peel this other transfer off, move this out of the way because I keep getting stuck to it and that's no good for the transfers. I believe it still went on the centre panel here, on this side. That's certainly how I've done it on the last one, and I remember I researched delivery for the last one. So we'll get that where we want it and press it on. Does anyone else ever wonder what they could do with modern cameras and green screens if they wanted to go back to using models for the show? They could do a much better show than they're going to do. GoPros hung from wires and cranes get some really neat angles. Yeah, but you wouldn't want to use GoPros in a professional setting. Even I've got a more advanced camera than a GoPro, or a better camera than a GoPro. I wouldn't call it more advanced. Because, you know, it's attached by a wire. But that being attached by a wire lets it do things at better quality. Just look at The Mandalorian. No spoilers. Oh, I'm never going to watch it, but yeah. No spoilers is always good. Hydration is important, especially when you're talking a lot. And off with the backing paper. The point is though, they didn't want to make a good show, they want to make a show that makes the most money for the least effort. Yes, yes they do. And that's what happens when you sell things to someone that wants to make money. But let's not all pretend that Britt Allcroft was some saint who did it for the good of the series. Because she did make money. Just the economics of children's TV, it is indeed. Children's TV has really went down the tube across the board. Well, yeah, I think all TV has, to be fair. Right, now, I want the same size numbers as that, which I think is these ones up here. We'll soon find out. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And yes, I did need to count them along. It's easier than reading upside down. So again, we cut round what we want. We turn them so that they are the right way round. we get our next one and do the same and drop it in the process. And then we line them both up. Press them down. And drop some water on them. Nothing hard about it. Children's television, economics. Sure, there's a computer game idea in there somewhere. There probably is. Some of the stuff that gets made into computer games and becomes successful, that would probably make you millions. I mean, come on, back in April I made a game about going shopping. The idea of the game was to stay away from everyone so you didn't catch a virus from them. And there we have number 48. Just need to make a video about your shopping game. Well, I don't know about that. I'd need to make some more levels for it first. Although I understand my playtesters enjoyed it. Got a live stream idea. I'm not making a game on a live stream. Is it available for download? Does it work on Linux? It is not available for download anywhere. And currently there is only a Windows executable for it. Or me running it from source. Because I think I only made like 2 levels. I was aiming to make at least 10 levels and then release it, but I never made the rest of the levels. So they had an idea to make an animal nobody had heard about. Spinning wooden boxes game became a cult classic. Remote an old model with a newer motor. If I had an old model and a newer motor to remotor it with, yes, that could work. You are right. Oak Hill Games. That's probably what I called it. You're right, Harry. It was very enjoyable. I'm glad someone thought so. Let's have the EXE on my desktop. Excellent. Interesting. What language is it written in? It is written in a proprietary language designed specifically for the IDE I was coding with. It's a very the language is based on C#, but it isn't C#. Let's Build Live 100 Oak Hill Simulator 2022. Problem there is that Let's Build Live 100 will be in 2021. We are scarily close to episode 100. Like, this is 87, maybe? That's scary, that is. Gary used controversial various actresses in video game trains. I wouldn't be able to do that, to be honest, Javier. Cops in Assassin's Creed. Sounds like you've gone down the .NET path. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that all my coding is .NET based, but yeah. Most of my proper non-web coding is done in Visual Basic, so Well, the program Visual Basic, which is made by Microsoft for the .NET languages, rather than Visual Basic, the language. All simulators get named the next year after release. Yeah, but I think that would be a bit too early in the year. As I say, we're only about 3 months off of it. I'm going to give Assassin's Creed Syndicate some credit for the trains. They were not terrible compared to most trains in non-simulator games. I'll have to take your word on that. I was going to watch someone stream all the Assassin's Creed games, but that's not going to happen anymore, unfortunately. There we go. Number 48 has transfers on both sides. Where did I put that? There it is. Transfers on that side. Transfers on that side. If you had unlimited money and skill, what would be your dream layout? Brighton Main Line, 1890s. Fully automated, or at least automatable. All the way from Brighton to Victoria. With some branches coming off for terriers running on, obviously. Visual Basic, goodness, yeah, I know, James. If I was to make a game, I think I'd like to give Python a go. That way I can do it all inside Blender and be done. I do have something else for making games, but I can't remember what the IDE is called. So I can't tell you what the other program I would use to make games with is. But as I don't do a lot of desktop programming, and I could get Visual Basic for free at the top when, like, God, that's got to be like 5 years since my MSDN subscription expired, but I could get it for free, so it was what I used. Just casually slipping a Terrier into SER livery without wing blades in 1831. Yeah, sounds completely legit. Terriers have always existed. They are the one constant in the universe. I've bought them all in preparation, glad it was a sale. Well, Alex, you could always do it anyway, just for me. Good choice, Brighton Station itself, perhaps. Oh, definitely with Brighton Station itself, James. That'd be delightfully insane. It would. It would be delightfully insane. Maybe build it in 1-to-1. No, that'd be too big. You could never enjoy it. TT, just to, or 3 mil fine scale, just to be really insane. Python is free, although it requires lots of mice. It's everywhere. Yes, Thomas, yes. Right, so we're building a breakdown. We need to paint the inside and the underneath, apparently. I didn't do that, so let's do that. I'm going to paint the inside in the same colour we've done the outside of the body, because of reasons. I'm hoping it means the colour shows better. Rather just have mice, they're cuter than snakes. Yep, they are. My brother had a snake. I've never understood the appeal of snakes as pets, if I'm being honest. Nothing against them, I've just never understood the appeal of having them as pets. Assassin's Creed Syndicate was set in 1868. I think it was an E1. Never said it was perfect, but at least bothered to find a UK prototype rather than making it up. Well, if you stream it, you can show me and I'll give my opinion on it, Alex. Inside, outside, upside, downside. Carrie said. Oh, go on. It'll be just for me. I promise to be good. The kid I used to play with had a Komodo dragon. My mum would not go into that house after she knew that. Brilliant. I mean, to be fair, if you're going to have a pet, and you've got the option of saying, yeah, I have a pet dragon, why wouldn't you? Can understand your own. Be a bit hard to stream now. I've uninstalled all my streaming stuff, closed all my streaming accounts and packed away my mic. None of that sounds unreversible. I remember when you uninstalled Train Simulator. So, dragons are cool, they breathe fire and everything. No idea why one would be wearing a kimono though, but cat's better than snakes. I'm going to agree with you there. Bid on something that might make the Brits angry. Oh, fluffier is better. MIC 999 locomotive supposedly hit 100 first. I know it didn't. Well, if it didn't, why would it make us angry? I'd never be angry about a loco hitting 100 first anyway. I've always felt all these speedy gimmicks were a bit silly. Just want to point out that this brake van appears to be just as well detailed on the inside as it is on the outside. The inside of the vents in the top of the doors is there. The planking in the floor is there. It is rather fantastic. MIC 909, stunning loco, false claim doesn't take away from that. Yeah, see, false claims don't take away from being nice locos. And even if, again, does it really matter? Yeah, all the detail is here on the inside, all the planking is here. It is a beautifully done model all round. So look at loco, well that's a good reason to have one. MPR 765 is about an hour's drive from me, very nice. Approved interior detail, yeah, it's great. Brass found fairly cheap at $90. That does sound good. Excellent. I hope you get it. Models are lovely. Okay, this isn't mine. This was made by Woco on RM Web. Exclamation mark brake van in the chat to get a link to his thread. Yeah, he's done an absolutely stunning job of it. It's almost like it's been designed with high detail in mind. It is indeed. Is that claim not as in first in America? I would love MIC99 substitute. Review come out good. Yes, not just brake van. There is the link. Does anyone else find RM Web hard to browse? There are certainly aspects of it that are a pain. Yes. Claim came out before Churro was first in the US. Yes, proper mess. RMO seems like stuck in 2011 in some places. It probably is, to be fair. There's a lot of RM web that doesn't get updated because it would confuse people if it was changed. And who can really blame Andy for that? Can anyone recommend other forums for British Steam? I don't actually know of any that are still going. There's a couple of small ones I used to use, but they seem to be dead now, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, Hopstar, does that count? Yes, Alex, it does. Sift it nice and tight. Hydration is important. I used to be Civil War reenactor. Hydration is very important. It is indeed. You are quite right. Hydration is important. Mugs that say that can be got from my merch store. Exclamation mark merch in the chat. Facebook has a lot of groups if you want to sell your soul to the Zuck. It does indeed. I don't use a lot of Facebook. I basically use it to promote the live stream now. And that's about it. I heard a guy who dropped dead at them because he filled his canteen with Coke instead of water. Fair enough. I mean, Coke is mostly water. So I'm a little bit sceptical at that. So the reason we are painting the full inside is to do with the UV affecting the resin and shrinking it. So you want your resin from your 3D printer to be painted all over. So that's what it's getting. I'm not going to say had it come in, I should have known better. Yeah. Facebook's just become the new forum mainstream now, but it's kind of worse than RM Web. At least RM Web has some form of order and not a battle to get seen. True. Caffeine dehydrates you, at least that's what I was told. Caffeine definitely doesn't dehydrate you. I mean, it's caffeine and sugar that does it. Sugar certainly won't be too helpful in the hydration front. But we're still talking about something that is mostly water. Now I want to pop these wheels out so I can paint the underside, and that will be going black. Maybe it's a story to get us new guys to drink more water, who knows. I would expect so, because I can confirm that you will not dehydrate if you live on only Coke. This is something I know only too well. I got kidney stones. Oh, kidney stones are not fun. From only drinking Diet Coke. Yeah, that's not fun. I can certainly see it as a possibility. So some of the additives in that they replace the sugar with are really bad for you. There is an argument that Diet Coke is worse for you than regular Coke. It's also addictive. It has addictive stuff in Diet Coke. Right, so we get the underside painted. So that goes black because, well, it would have been black, and it will be slightly visible if you look from a low enough angle. Even if it wasn't resin that needed painting, I would still paint the underside. My exhibition layout, standing as high as it does, makes it quite easy to get at that angle where you can see underneath things. That's kind of the point. Hopefully it lasts out. Who does drink? I drink Mandarin Orange sparkling water now. Oh, very nice. Also, was £400 at the time. Lost a lot of weight now. More healthy, 280. That does sound better. Yeah, that sounds much better. 12 packs under $3 is delicious. Excellent. It's full, by the way. Ah, fair enough. Never liked Coke. More a Fanta person. Great Fanta is life. Well, I have moved off Coke onto more Orange Tango. Well, cheap Tesco Orange Tango. No sugar. Black underside is a happy underside. Well, certainly the best for if you can see it. Whether it's happy about it or not is another matter. I do like a spot of water. It's very hydrating. It is indeed. I flip-flop between Fanta Lemon, Dr Pepper and Coke. Do try to drink them in moderation. Small is big Coke. Do tend to drink completely over the course of a day though. I used to go through 2 litres of Coke every day quite easily. I'm sure I used to go through a lot more than that at one point. Moderation is indeed the key. I only drink Coke if I can get it in glass bottles. Coke in glass bottles is the best Coke. We're leaking grey paint over the workbench now that I've turned this upside down. We don't want to be doing that. Oh, it's okay, it's only on the glass, it's not on the painted bit, so I can just scrape it off. Paint's real. I knew that was coming. I've got to go to B&M for it. I occasionally get it. If I'm going to drink Coke these days, it'll be Coke in a glass bottle. But I don't really drink it as much anymore. Don't drink it anywhere near as much as I used to. Never put peanuts in your Coke. It may have been an American thing, but it's great. I have never even heard of that being a thing. Never mind actually having done it. But I'm not a fan of peanuts anyway, so I probably wouldn't enjoy it all that much. So yes, I think we are definitely safe to say that this is the end of the break van this week. 2 weeks on a project is quite good if you ask me. That is a project that has been well done. Yeah. What do you mean, error try again? Never mind, okay. YouTube won't let me do anything with that message at all. Honestly, can't stand sugar-free stuff though. Can't stand the aftertaste, dry throat afterwards. I don't get a dry throat from it. So my orange that I drink is sugar-free. Yeah, it's kind of an American country thing, is what Hardy Hat was saying. Fair enough. Peanuts and Coke's old southern thing. Didn't mean to spell country like that. Not a problem. It happens. So now we are going to repaint the visible black bits. Well, the more visible, shall I say, because the stuff on the bottom is still visible. For the reasons discussed. My exhibition layout sits at 45 inches off the ground, so it's quite easy to get down to a height where you can see the underframes. That breakdown really is coming together. Thank you. Eye level layout. It's not quite eye level, but it's a nice level. Nor found Toads BR 20 times myself. Well, they're quite far in the future from this design. Unbelievably modern compared to this design. So Americans in the chat, do you prefer what's known as Mexican Coke? Do you stand Coke? Like Mexican Coke, what's different, made with real sugar instead of corn syrup? You're a man of taste, sir. I didn't even realise there was a Mexican Coke. But I suppose it only makes sense that these things have regional variations to go with varying palettes. And there we are, that is the whole of the brake van painted and transferred. I prefer this side actually, I'm going to put it that way round. So, no, I don't know, Coke, basically Mexican Coke, generic Coke we get. Gives me PTSD. Oh, a bit like Network South East livery then. We're on Oakhill's live stream, so we all people of good taste. Why, thank you, sir. Thank you indeed. Let's get these bits of paint that have come out whilst we had it upside down. Learning about Coke, I guess. Indeed, Javier, we are all learning about Coke. The paint spill? No, it's not a real paint spill. I like NSE, have a whole NSE layout under construction. Yeah, I know, James. Hopefully one day they'll find the cure for you. So it gives me PTSD back to all those VEPs in the early 90s. They didn't get any better when they painted them in Connex livery. So can I ask a somewhat sensitive question? I'm not trying to be cheeky, I really am curious. You can indeed. If it's sensitive, you might not get an answer, but you can ask. I like a good VEP. I'd love a good VEP. I've never seen one, James. I've been on many VEPs, never a good one. Watch his chat closely. See, my mods are always there for the cheeky, somewhat sensitive questions. Why exactly did I put the blue tack back up there when I was getting another paint colour out? We're going to do the inside of the roof. So in America, our stereotypical gardeners are Mexican. I have heard in the UK they are Polish. Is this true? If we're looking at stereotypes, then Eastern European generally yes. But in reality, no. I have had many gardeners, none of them have been Polish. What would a good VEP look like? A terrier with a rake of Stroudley four-wheelers on the back. So an engaged class every so I thought you. Yeah. That does sound very James, doesn't it? My actual gardener's Polish, not sure about stereotypes. It's good before. Our gardeners are typically the bloke down the street with a normally northern accent who nicked 100 rolls of grass from a local hardware store. I was watching Top Gear, Clark's made a big deal about getting poles through. Yeah, don't pay too much attention to Clarkson. But it's funny you should say that. With the northern accent there, Thomas. My last gardener was a Manc. Lovely bloke. He's undergone some changes in personality recently, though. And he shan't be coming back as my gardener as a result. So over the top he is, but he certainly has amusing points to him. But he's a bit more than over the top. He's generally not a very nice person. Changes in personality, yes. Changes in personality. That have unfortunately resulted in me and him parting ways in all aspects. So the fact that Southerners see the Midlands as the North, and by love I mean hate, we're in the middle of the North. Around me, specifically our stereotypical hard labour people are the Amish. Ah, interesting. I love that Midlanders think they're in the North. Waves from Scotland. Don't worry, Linny. Even James is in the North. You're all Northerners, all of ya. Except for Paderborn. We don't know, Linny. We are in the Midlands, hence the name. I mean, You'd think so, wouldn't you, Alex? You'd think that's what the name would mean. They're in the middle of us who think they're northern. Shoot these people. It's everyone else who gets it wrong. What, you mean it's not me, it's everyone else? Thought so. You darn northerners. Listening to a guy from the north here on YouTube demonstrating northern slang, it sounded like a totally different language. It is very much a different language. Born in Byfleet, so for Sussex that's quite north. That is quite north, yeah. You're right. I mean, I've been that far north by choice. Northerners think we are southern, southerners think we are northern, the government forgets we exist. Could go on around, but right, I'm too tired. Look, it could be worse. The government could remember you exist and start treating you the way it treats northerners. Want to visit Bolton someday and see where Fred Dibner grew up? Fair enough. Right. That's all painted and waiting for bits to dry. That's all painted and waiting for bits to dry. Byfleet's not far from our outset, Bisley or thereabouts. Yes, indeed, Linny. So, we're waiting for it to dry. Which means I'm going to reach up here and pull a bag down. A bag of small black things. I'm sure James can tell us what they are. There we go, James. Puppies. Indeed they are. Because they still need more paint. And I don't know why I don't even know why I put the white paint away. He says before deciding he's got to start with the black to get the bits of them that never got coated last time. I'm my own gardener, my own forces me to plough and such. Yeah, I force my children to do it now. Plough your garden? That is a good question, James. I always have to say, you Brits do some really good documentaries. Here they are either reality shows or playing lectures. Yeah. I'm not a fan of documentaries that are just lectures. But I do like a good documentary. My gardener is technically northern when compared to me, but that's because they were born in northern Nottinghamshire and they are my mum. Nothing wrong with a good lecture. As long as it is a good one, yes. Ours are just family and rednecks. Well, my gardener, I have two gardeners now. They are my children. Because why have kids if I can't use them as forced labour? And there we are, the puppies are now black. That's probably all I can do to the puppies. Family child labour, next labour. Yeah, exactly, Alex. Those puppies are indeed seriously teeny, James. I really like the Absolute History docs here on YouTube. Lots of stuff to get their hands dirty and actually do the stuff. That is a good way of history documentaryism. Documentaryising. We're going with that pronunciation. Deal with it. Get paid in food. Indeed, my children get paid in food and chocolate. Hell, Diego Hazard. Diego Hazard is good. Never heard of him. What does he do? Team speakers in them make them yap. No, I couldn't. Not in that size. Diego Hazard, good evening, Killian. I am well. How are you, sir? Make YouTube videos. Diego stuff is awesome. Indeed, it is, Alex. Good evening, Killian. I react quite well, thank you. So, no speakers in the kittens for mewing sounds. No, the kittens are even smaller than the puppies, James. They are going to be fun to paint. Ever so fun. You're painting the kittens tortoise shell. One of them is going to be ginger, but yeah. So it says videos and subscribe. Excellent. I am going to refill the hydration vessel. Do you love ginger cats, the little fluffies? Yes, my mum's cat is ginger. Hence why one of them is going that colour. I brought him home from a friend's house after school one day. Which kind of shows he's getting on a bit now since it was after school. She has good taste. She didn't get a choice. So remember, hydration is important. You have good taste. Yeah, see. It was me. Although I let my sister name him and she wasn't very imaginative with names, so he's called Ginger. My uncle had a dog that was 1 part Malamute, 3 parts wolf. That dog was bigger than me as a puppy. Yeah, I can imagine that was quite large. That certainly doesn't sound like a small dog in any sense of the words. Yeah, indeed, a very descriptive name. It was also not like my sister wasn't told it was happening either. So actually, I got picked up from school. My sister in the car because she'd been picked up first. And I dumped a cat in her lap and said, "Look what we've got. You can name it." When we were a puppy. Very good, James. Right then. It is 11 o'clock. Dong. Oh, I know what I've forgotten to do. I've not redone the black on the handrails. Terriers are the best small dogs, surely. Well, yeah, obviously, Killian. How'd you get a cat in any case? My friend's cat had a litter. And they got old enough that they could be separated, and I got one of them. His name was Bubba. Interesting name. People don't just give cats to children. Yeah, well, clearly they do. Now he has a cat named Mr. Twinklebutt. That's an interesting name. Yes, his daughter named it. Well, that makes sense. And there is a link to the donations. Because the Streamlabs bot wants you to remember you can donate to the channel to mate if you want to hear a terrier. Oh, and there's the rain pounding on the window. Friendly cats are the best sort of cats. They are indeed. No, James, no paint spill. They should also remember. Like to sit on the shoulder with claws fully dug into your shoulder. Yeah. Also Patreon. Yes, indeed. There is the Patreon for people who want to donate every month. Thank you, Alex. Oh, good. The rain's shutting up a bit. Did anyone hear the rain? Was it loud enough for the microphone to pick it up? Because it was quite loud. Well, gosh, I can hear your rain from here. Yeah, there we go. So, indeed, James could hear the rain. It is apparently coming down quite hard. Well, luckily I didn't hear it. Lucky you. I imagine it gives you PTSD. I would donate, but I don't use credit cards. I don't want to link a debit card to the internet, and Patreon doesn't accept prepaid cards. Well, there is no obligation to donate. I say it's the streams happen regardless. The only advantage of donating is that it makes sure I can afford things to do on stream. And you should feel under absolutely no obligation to do it though. I can't even joke about it. I was playing Sea of Thieves the other day, got caught in a storm while sailing. I actually had a panic attack and had to quit the game. Yeah, I mean, I totally get why though, Alex. Makes perfect sense. I really would like to though, so I guess I have to settle for donating best wishes. You know what? Best wishes are gratefully accepted as a donation. I have no problem with accepting best wishes as a donation. Sea of Thieves really is a beautiful game though. I'll take your word on that. Best wishes are the best sort of wishes. They are indeed good wishes. For those that really want to donate and don't want to use Patreon or whatever it is Streamlabs do, I do also have a PayPal account you can donate directly into. That has been used in the past. My email address for PayPal is gary@oakhillmodelrailway.co.uk. My cat's been adopted and returned 3 times before I got her. Oh, that's not very nice. I hope the people that adopt and return cats are then never allowed to adopt another cat ever again. See, I love Sea of Thieves, shame about the other players. Fair enough. I don't think I've ever played it or seen it. Why do people return her? She's a little independent, but she's a lovely cat. I'll try and donate next payday. Well, I say, don't feel obliged to. There is absolutely no need to donate. It was only even added as an option that you could do it because I was told to do it. Approve of lovely cats. Lovely cats are the best cats. One family, kid was allergic. Other was a Christmas present and the family didn't like it and returned it. That's just horrid. Mel bought 5 cats to her farm to be mousers and ended up with over 100 cats around the place after a couple of years. Yeah, that sounds about right. Certainly one way to keep your mousers going. Last one was that the family couldn't keep it due to having to move. That's like within a year returned 3 times. That's terrible. Poor thing. Check will just soon die for anyone else. It's not dead for me. Not for me. Don't find it. It's back on. Mods, please. Cheers, Alex. Don't worry, Will. Don't do it again. Slip-ups are not a problem. It's alright, Alex. People don't look sometimes. I don't expect you to be on it constantly. I'm certainly not. Around that once, even consented language isn't right for here. Nope, indeed. We have kids that watch, and so I would much rather there was nothing. The White Spirit hasn't worked, need to go down the Death route. That is a shame, but at least you have options still. What are you trying to unpaint? Yeah, see, there's his problem. He doesn't know what it's painted with. And there we go, with all the ironwork repainted black. That's much better. Just a beard on the top of this one that needs catching. And again on this one. There we go. Much better. Hornby Henry chassis. Trying to get the old green off so I can make it black and have my own green ribbon. I need 10 frames swiftly. What are we trying to make it into? Is it as it came from Hornby, or has it been repainted in the past, Thomas? Same as Henry Sash, I just want to look a bit more realistic. By not being fully green, we'll DM you pick now, James. Yeah. So is it already repainted or is it as it came out of the factory? It's the original paint job. Right, in that case, what you want is nail polish remover. This is the pink stuff out of Tesco. The specific ingredient you are looking for is acetone. You do not want to leave it to sit in the acetone. You want to scrub it and wash it off afterwards. Hornby paintwork, if you're stripping the whole thing off, comes off with acetone. But some of the plastics they use react to it, so don't ever leave something to soak in it. I use an old toothbrush, just dip it in the acetone, scrub it, dunk it in water. Is it just me, or do British wagons look so much smaller than they really are when you're not standing right next to them? British wagons are diddy even when standing next to them. I mean, they're not particularly big, but I wouldn't call them diddy. Old ones are, some modern ones are quite big. Maybe used to be American stuff. Our wagons are huge. Yeah, so certainly compared to American stuff they are. Nose are reasonably dry. I don't have to worry about plastic melting, it's made of metal. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough, that won't melt the plastic then. But yeah, you can leave it to soak. I mean, there's not a huge advantage to leaving it to soak, but you can do then, if it's the metal one. Most British things are dizzy compared to American things. That is very true. It's made of metal, you could use cellulose thinners or even nitromors. Indeed, James. And you seen Dwight next to the big boy. Have you seen Dwight next to the big boy at the American NRM? I don't think I have. I know I've seen them both. I'm not sure I've seen them next to each other. Makes Dwight look like a shunter. Well, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I don't think I've actually seen a picture of them both together. When I see the word nitromors, my brain changed it to nitrogen for a split second. that ends up with a very different way of doing it, but it does still remove the paint from the metal. So comparatively, they're in the same room. Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think I've ever seen one that shows them both well enough that you can actually compare them. But it doesn't surprise me that it's like that. Yes, it's stripping the paint rather than blowing it up that you want to be doing. It does help if you don't blow things up. According to AT&T. Because it's a bad idea, it doesn't mean it won't be a good time. Well, that's true. So given I live in the US, most of my reference is the loading gauge. After that, I just imagine a large shed. So mentioned explosions don't work well in model form. No, they do not. And hydration is apparently still important. How accurate is that? It's mostly like depends where they are. I don't have a like command, Linny. But people should like and subscribe and all that stuff. I don't have any commands for liking. I just have it on the timer. Smash the like button. Smash the subscribe button whilst you're down there. Smash the subscribe button so hard that it says subscribed instead of subscribe. That would be awesome if you did that. And don't forget to ring the notification bell. It makes a nice noise. Honest. Not as nice as when you donate, obviously. Because when you donate, that makes a terrier whistle. I don't know why I'm putting the white paint away again. I want the white paint in a second. Let's clean this brush. Can't like the video, somebody smashed the like button. That's okay, James, you all get your own like buttons. So there's one each that you can smash. Last time I smashed the subscribe button, I broke my screen. Don't smash it with a hammer. Smash it with a mouse click. Maybe I shouldn't use a shovel to smash it. No, shovels probably aren't best. I still use a mouse. So do I. In fact, my mouse is sat right next to me. And on the theme of pets earlier on, has a dragon on it. Because dragons are cool. It's a glowing dragon as well. Shovels are OP. They are indeed. Yes, James. A dragon mouse. It looks like it's glowing white, but it's definitely only red. Nerf the shovels. I agree, nerf the shovels. Right, let me get Mummy Dog. Mummy Dog. Not that you can see the markings on Mummy Dog, but we're gonna try and copy them. Absolutely not. They can take down a heavy one hit. It's cool. Yeah, it's a the dragon on my mouse is the MSI gaming logo because I have an MSI gaming laptop, so I got an MSI gaming mouse to go with it. Because why wouldn't I? And yes, that does mean the laptop also has a dragon on it. Well painted dog. Indeed it is. It looks just like my dog did. There we go. Look, even sort of in focus for a second there. Puppies, puppy overload. No, no such thing as puppy overload. Huzzah for doggos, yes. Indeed, huzzah for doggos. Monochrome doggo. She was a monochrome doggo. Even when she got old and started turning grey, she was a good girl, yes. Just put the one on there for now. You're not getting any more commands. commands. No. I'm going to have to say no. That's teeny painting. It is indeed. Commands are fun. Sometimes. Grandfather has a Snoodle, puppy, poodle, schnauzer mix named Snitz. Smarter dog you will never meet. He is stubborn though. Well, that's a coincidence because I had a border collie and a dumber dog you will never meet. My God, was she an idiot. A lovely idiot, but an idiot. And I'd like to think that puppy is looking somewhat like it is the puppy of this dog. I'm actually rather impressed with that. Let's see if we can get it to somewhere the camera can actually make out what it looks like. You know what, it'd be much better to stick it to a screwdriver. How was your dog an idiot? Oh, many, many, many ways. Everything she did. Oh, go on. Don't focus on the dog, not the screwdriver. Yeah, it probably is, isn't it? You're right, James. There we go. Very impressive dog paint, you'll need more focus. Well, yeah, definitely. Can't be as bad as my partner's cat. Oh, cool, you're getting away from me now. Come back, chap. Can't be as bad as my partner's cat. Took us 6 minutes for her to eat a piece of cheese out of my hand under her nose. She was sniffing the wrong bits of my hand. So, I mean, so CK would have looked at the cheese and looked at my hand and looked at the cheese and looked at my hand and gone away and then come back and then gone away again and then come back again and looked and sniffed some more and then eat it. It would have taken a lot more than 6 minutes. Not really supportive of buying raspberries if you would. But if I would go with either with a snoodle or a collie like Lassie, rubbing her head against my hand until I dropped the cheese, whereupon she sniffed the floor cheese and resumed licking my fingertips. Again, this, yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. Before going to local pound and making friends, well, yes, sounds A very cute cat, if not the brightest. Indeed. Rescue doggos are best doggos. They are indeed. Face on break paper. Found contrast impressive. Yeah. Well, pups, yay pups. As after it was then. Alright. Cats can't really see too well up close like that. No, I'm sure they can't. There must be but that's why they sniff. They should find things when they sniff. And we want to put a little white bit there on that back leg. And there on that back leg. And that is that one done. All cats are myopic. Yeah. What's this puppy called? I don't know. My dog never had puppies in real life. So I honestly don't know. I might try doing the whole thing on the screwdriver tip. Because then I can at least move it. And I think the fact it's on a screwdriver tip like this should show you just how small these are. That's why they dip their paws in the water bowl before drinking, so they figure out where the water is. That makes sense, I suppose. Let's try and get this paper back in here, or card in fact, as it actually is, back in here. Let's put some bits behind it to hold it in place. And see if we can't have some focus as I paint. I don't know if it will, but we should try. Once she finally got the cheese, yes, she did lick it repeatedly, but she didn't scoop it up into her mouth, so perhaps you could call it Steve. Well, I mean, maybe. But not a very dog name, is it? Cats are fussy eaters, the adorable little fuzzies. I just imagine engaged kittens. God, that would be impossible, James. Puppies should be called Banjo and Kazooie, just because. The cat we had when I was little liked to eat our Christmas cactus. Now you've got contrast elsewhere in the scene. I do, don't I? It's down here. I don't think I'm going to get it any better than that and be able to actually do anything. So for those that don't know my trick, the reason I am touching my hands together is because it means that your hands shake together. So although my hands are still shaking, they are shaking in sync with each other. Why does the screwdriver have a tiny top hat? That tiny top hat is a puppy. Next, you try and paint NCL Mars or ZCL ads. You're an evil genius. All the best people are. I will not be painting any of those things. And there is a link to Discord. provided by the bot. And there is another puppy. And I am now completely blind as my eyes readjust to things being normal size. Puppy number 2. You could call this one Dan. Or I could call it puppy number 2. Puppy number 2 sounds like a splendid name. How about Doggo, Dog 1 and Dog 2? Brilliant. Stepney and Botsy, Steve and Dan. Better than puppy number 1 and puppy number 2. I'm not sure they are. They don't sound like very dog names to me, or cat names for that matter, since I said it. You can't call them Stepney and Boxhill, they're collies, not terriers. Well, that's true. They are indeed collies, not terriers. But if you want to get onto naming conventions, this one is called Cherokee. She had many sisters, all belonging to the same family, who were my ex-wife's family, all named after other Native American tribes. The LNWR cauliflowers weren't named, but Gary 4 and Gary 5. Hydration is important. As is moving the puppies out the way. Damien. or not. We were working on a brake van once upon a time. Does anyone remember that? We need to cut it some windows. Look at that glazing holding itself in place. Okay, it's not anymore because I touched it. Right, Donald and Douglas. Got some great suggestions there. Doesn't mean I'm going to use any of them. Damien, isn't that what Western Link's helicopter number? That was nicknamed, so maybe I'll leave on a habit of falling spectacularly and terrifying pilots. Well, if it was a Lynx helicopter, we can't use that name because, as we all know, Lynxes are cats, not dogs. Failing, not falling. I mean, both are bad. Dawn Douglas twins and has arrived from Next Wise House. Gary Beale model. Oh, no. See, although the family of dogs were all with my ex-wife, when my ex-wife left, the dog stayed with me. So there's no need for them to arrive from her house. Did you ever find out the Craven's drivers? I've not actually. I forgot to look it up. So I know I've got the staff names for Hailsham crews around somewhere. But yeah, I completely forgot to actually check what they are. And there we have glazing in the body. Thought Lynx was a body spray. Badum-tsh. Call them Stroudley and Billington, the mother being Craven. No, the mother is Cherokee. CK for short. It's a YouTube channel for somebody who has a very friendly pet lynx called Max. Max is very fluffy and purrs regularly. I approve of glazing. Those two comments sound perfect going next to each other. I do not approve of pet lynx. Wild animals should not be pets. I approve of lynx glazing. Yeah, it does seem an odd one to have as a pet, doesn't it, Alex? You're quite right. Oh dear, we might not have given that quite long enough. I mean, the advantage is I can see where I need to cut it now. And I suppose, technically, if I do that and push it in place, the paint is going to hold it in. So I don't need to glue it. House cats are genetically almost identical to wild animals, and Lynx is an actual predator, not a pet. House cat is an actual predator, slightly smaller one. Oh, I mean, yes, they are definitely an actual predator, hence why they bring home presents. But there is a definite difference between a house cat and a lynx. Especially for having around the house. All pets are predators, we've just domesticated them, and those we think aren't predators are predators of seed and cheese and other things pets eat. I don't think it counts as being a predator if you're a predator of seeds. The difference between house cat and other types of character and socialisation is their upbringing. I'm still not convinced of Lynx being a good pet. Seeds can feel pain too. But they're not really hunted, are they? Unlike dogs, cats have not been altered significantly by domestication, which is why they never live at home. No, there's a mountain lion if it lets you, and it will have a A body behind you, true. Danger is the owner's problem, yes. Popcorn is apparently alive. A potato man told me he enjoys it. Yes, Thomas. Yes, okay. You keep telling yourself that. A mountain lion is a cougar, a lynx is a bobcat, much smaller. Yes, definitely much smaller than a mountain lion. I agree on that. I have seen lynx before. They require much more space than a house cat. Right, that is wide enough, so we'll chop that off. Going on about something called to visit the King Potato people on Imaginary Carpet. Stroudley has its own enclosure. I mean, that sounds better if it hasn't a proper enclosure. Right now, I can't listen to anymore. Great stream as always, night do. Good night, Alex. Thank you for coming. And you can see the review on Thursday. No, it's not giving me a line on that side. Ah, no. Okay, so cats would be interested in that. I'm sure they would. I am very sure they would. I should have cut this down to length first, shouldn't I? That was silly. Now I've got to take a bit off both sides. Much research to make Irish throat. Probably the best sign technically Irish. Don't do it. I am too. If you do, I'll get Mr. Fibble on you. Yeah, it's best to avoid the joke. Yeah, remember in future, cut down things to size before cutting them to shape. See, I knew who Mr. Fibble was. So when Rimmer goes insane. Red Dwarf was a joy in the 90s. Indeed it was. It's still a joy now, if you watch the older episodes from the 90s. There we go. Glazing. Was Rimmer ever sane? In comparison to that episode, yes. Season 5, episode 4, Quarantine. That was it, Quarantine. I couldn't remember what the episode was called. But I can just picture him sat there in his dress. And there's a link to Facebook. So I said earlier, I don't use Facebook a lot, but we have one for promoting the stream. Before you glue that in place, we'll use it as a template for the other end. No. No, I will not, because the other end is a different shape. And you forget I'm not gluing. Not on the birdcage top, it doesn't need it. The paint's still wet. Only at the bottom, yes, but the top was easy to shape. It was only because I blooming forgot to cut it down width-wise that I had a problem. I suppose I asked for that by not checking, didn't I? I think Lynn's idea was a good one. Yeah, but I'd got paint on it by then. As another argument against. It's still slightly too much. So I was laid off from work for the month of March and was watching everything to not get bored. Found a show called Grain Chill, and anybody thinks for when I was different, Grain Chill, that's what 70s, 90s, maybe even 2000. Yeah, it's really. So when I was younger, never watched it. That wasn't my thing. I only watched it in the 90s. I watched it in the 90s, yes. See, and now it's all glazed. And there we go. That is that. So obviously the next thing we must do is get the couplings back that I hopefully put away back in the pack at the end of last week. Sides too? Yeah, sides. I did the sides before the ends. See? You weren't paying attention. Sides are done. Ends are done. Body was done first. Must have looked away for a minute. Yeah, it didn't take long, to be fair. One, two, three, four. I'm going to need some more of these. I've only got 4 left. Really do work fast. Well, I've got a reputation to uphold. Any weathering to be done, you're going to leave it clean. It will get weathered, it won't get it tonight. Whilst the paint is still wet enough to do that. Don't like the looks of that glue droplet. What, on the windows it's fine. It's glue and glaze, it'll be completely clear, don't worry about it. That one did not want to go in. I hope this one's a bit more cooperative. Significantly more. There we go. They're not going to spring, that's for sure. Don't know why I'm even bothering with the springs. Hang on, I dropped weight. There it is. Oh yes, this is the end. It's all bulgy. Springing into action. You know what? I'm not going to spring that end because it's too close to the floor. I'm going to take them both back out. I'm going to cut them down and I'm going to bend them over. Because there's no way I'm going to get springing on these without totally ruining the model. Got to cut it down first to about half of what it is. Seven minutes to go. Yes. Must work fast. There we go, that's that one in. This side might be a little bit broken now. But that's okay, we can fix it. Have to plan another project for next week. I will indeed. Is it hard having to work around the camera? It can be, yes. But I've gotten quite used to it over the time I've been doing this. Broke van, but Let's make sure it all fits back together before we do anything. I've obviously filled in the bottom of the slit there, so we'll take that off, like so. And that will now fit nicely. It's a really good idea. Get one of those vans from the 80s or 90s and paint it up like a brake van. Obviously, brake van was a command, not a description. Obviously, yes. So it's a bit weird that this one was fine last week and not so this week. Because obviously couplings went in it last week to make sure it was all alright, and it didn't break then. Then we shall apply a bit of glue to each coupling, since we're not springing them. Transit brake van, no. Paint seems to have taken well. It has indeed. I see you're a connoisseur of the finest super glue in the land. Indeed. I need to get back down to Poundland and get some more now that you mention it. Oh dear, I snapped off the running board. Never mind. That's quite a weak bit of it there. Not quite pumpkin time. There we go. A spot of super glue will cure what ails you. Exactly. Wonder if anybody has ever tried putting an engine in a brake van and using it as a maintenance trolley. I expect that someone would have at least thought of the idea. And there we go. I don't get why people look down on Poundland super glue. It's just as good as expensive brands, if not better at times. I don't think it is as good as expensive brands, but I do think it's good enough. Disproof things snapping off, as do I. I use cheap super glue except when I want thick or super runny super glue. Yeah, I mean, I do like working with thick stuff sometimes, and I use expensive stuff for that. Haven't completed it yet though, it needs more looking into. Not quite the same thing, but look up there, NRJ70. Remember not to super glue the roof on. No, indeed I will not. The roof will be stuck on. Well, look at that. The paint's holding the roof on. Get on the rails, you. Darn inferior rails that are too close together. Very brake vanny again, isn't it just? I don't know about the J70, I didn't they start out as brake van, did they? No. I do like super glue gel too when things aren't a perfect fit together. It's great stuff for that. It's not long past pumpkin time for me, maybe that's why I'm feeling a bit round. Maybe it's just Christmas. Maybe it's both. Christmas is a happy thing. Indeed. Super glue gel is nice, it's good for rebuilding damaged terrier buffer. New brake Annie's brake van. Indeed. And there we have the brake vaniest brake van. I really must get around to finishing this properly with its own actual support on the back. Why am I using tins of paint and bits of plastic art when I have a blooming white metal locomotive here? There we go. How's that? Almost looks like an American caboose. I suppose it does a bit with its bird cage, doesn't it? Hooray for number 48. Indeed, James. Can't wait to see it running. Very brave. I legit broke my TCE Stepney buffer and built it up with super glue gel. Fair enough. Because it's a caboose in a way. I mean, the thing is, Thomas, the dome on my N-gauge Gladstone is made of super glue. So it can be done. Yes, US ones had lantern roofs too. I gorgeous I have to get one minus the bird cage, I think, for Linton Town. Yes, I think the bird cages would have gone by then. Remember to smash the like button, give a gentle tap while we're at. Yeah, as the bot says, remember to smash the like button. Yeah, it's like a chip in a buffer, but yeah, I kind of got what you meant. Super glue casting is quite the technique. It is, and I used blue tack for the actual mould for that. I never expected it to work. I was rather surprised when it did. Yeah, but the breakdown looks fabulous. Thank you, Thomas. Pumpkin, indeed it is pumpkin time, James. So yes, thank you everyone for coming. It has been absolutely fantastic. I have loved working on this project. I have loved spending my Sunday nights of 2020 here. This is of course the last live stream of 2020. Would you believe at the start of this year we were still working on the i3? Seems like forever ago, does it not? I think I should do a video on Tuesday looking back at what we have achieved in the last 12 months. I've been Javier, you've been awesome. Beat me to it, Javier, well done. Gosh, the i3, I remember the i3, I like i3s. Yes, it was a good project. So how heavy would it have to be the correct weight and scale? It was 20 tonnes in real life. I'll let you work it out. 1/76 of that. Adios 2020, indeed. So, yes. Thank you for coming, everyone. I have had a great time. This year really has dragged on. It has indeed. I've had a great time. I hope you have too. I've been Gary. This has been Let's Build. And you've been awesome. Good night.